polygraph test, also known as a lie detector test, is used to determine if somebody is lying, most commonly in the United States, for court cases. Although it's also become a popular thing on social media that people will do, I've seen in TikToks or YouTube videos, how does a polygraph test actually work? First created in 1921 by California policeman and forensic psychiatrist John Larson, the polygraph test, also known as a lie detector test, is most commonly used in forensics. Investigators will often question people that they believe to be accomplices in crimes or under legal oath to these polygraph tests in order to determine if they're telling the truth or lying. Investigators will often hook people up to these polygraph tests to determine if they're telling the truth or lying to the questions that they are asked in order to help aid with the investigation. But how accurate are these lie detector tests and how do they actually work? So the lie detector test is kind of an incorrect name for the machine because the machine doesn't actually tell if the person is telling the truth or telling a lie based on the question they were asked. Instead, it measures stuff like anxiety levels, stress, and perspiration in order to tell whether a person is lying, but that decision still has to be made by the human reading the test. The cost for a polygraph test can be between $200 and $2,000, which is quite a wide range depending on the type of test used and the person administering it. Participants for these tests are going to be hooked up to wires and monitors and then read on a computer screen when they're asked these certain types of questions, how their body reacts to them. The test begins by asking some basic questions, such as, what is your name? I'd say my name is Josh, and then they would read those levels, and then I would say my name is Jacob, and they would read those levels to see how my body changes based on the responses. In episode 93 of the US science show Mythbusters, they tried to fake a polygraph examination. The hosts attempted to fool the polygraph test by using pain for correct answers, in order to test the notion that the machine interprets truthful and non-truthful answers the same way. They also attempted to fool the polygraph test by answering these questions with a lie while thinking pleasant, calming thoughts, and then thinking of stressful, anxiety-inducing thoughts when telling the truth. However, they determined that neither of these attempts were successful to fool the machine, and Michael Martin in the episode correctly identified the innocent and the guilty subjects. He also suggested that when conducted properly, these polygraph tests can be up to 98% accurate, although there's been no scientific evidence in order to support this, at least from what I can find. While a test like this can be accurate, there have been quite a few notable cases where the person who is innocent has been deemed guilty, or the person who's been guilty has been deemed innocent based on these tests. A CIA spy, Harold Nicholson, failed his polygraph test, whereas Aldrich Ames passed the polygraph test while being a spy for the Soviet Union. Another example is the polygraph test failed to catch Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, or Bill Wegerle in Wichita, Kansas, who was suspected of killing his wife and failed his polygraph test, who was later found out to be innocent based on a DNA test. So there are a lot of things that you can do in order to tell if someone is innocent or guilty. I just don't think this is entirely one of the most accurate ways, considering that if I were strapped up to a bunch of different monitors, sitting in a room, being interrogated with light in my face, wires on my chest, my hands and my feet hooked up to wires and monitors, I think I'd be sweating too. I think my breathing would change, even if I was telling the truth. I think it's kind of hard, even if you're given a baseline, to remain entirely calm when you're under investigation. Would you pay up to $2,000 for a lie detector test just to tell if someone is maybe telling the truth or telling a lie when you can't really even make that decision yourself? Let me know down in the comments if you want to do it yourself. I don't think I would. It seems like a lot of money, even if it was $200 just for it to be deemed maybe 80% accurate, even though it says 98 with no evidence to support it. I still think it could be a fun test just to determine it, but based on how much I've seen on social media, it seems like it might not be that accurate. So I think it's a really cool thing to have, but not entirely necessary in like a courtroom or a legal setting to determine if someone is guilty or innocent. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace.